I would like to explain some terms associated with sizing and adjusting type. All of these definitions can be found in the Anatomy of Type handout at the bottom of page 2 and then continued on page 3. So, the first thing with sizing type is understanding point size. Point size is just a unit of measuring the height of type and the vertical distance between lines of type. So, as you can see in this example, we have 12-point font, 18-point font, 24-point font, 48, and 72. The higher the number, the larger the point size. You're going to learn a little bit more about point sizes and when to use different sizes. Line length then is the length of a line of type. Traditionally, we measure this in picas, but it also can be in inches. Um, You'll notice as we start working with InDesign that a lot of times when you create a new document, it will want to create the document in picas. We can easily convert this to inches because it's a little bit easier to understand. But typically we use picas to measure the line of type rather than points. Leading, and that's how we pronounce it, is leading, is the amount of space between the lines of type. So you can see between this baseline and the top of the ascenders in this line, there's space. The text does not touch. That is leading. So it's very similar to when you choose single space or double space when you're writing a paper in, let's say, Google Docs. It is also measured in points, and the term came from back when text was metal type. If they wanted to add more space between the blocks of type, they would actually insert strips of lead between that to create more spacing, so to create that single spacing or double spacing. As we learn Adobe InDesign, you're going to notice that you're going to have a lot more flexibility in being able to adjust this leading, which is really nice as a graphic designer. And then the last thing that we have is letter spacing. This is the distance between the characters in the word or the number and between the words. There's two types of letter spacing. One is kerning, and that's when you adjust space between just two letters, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And the other type of letter spacing is called tracking. And tracking is when you put equal amounts of space between all of the letters in a word or a sentence. And again, we will talk about this a little bit more further. I just wanted you guys to be a little bit familiar with these terms, and then you're going to learn a little bit more about each of these things in future lessons.